Sherlock Holmes. I want to welcome Dr. Jill McDevitt. She is the owner of Feminique and a sexologist. She's a sex educator. She is a speaker, a blogger, an author, and a sexual rights advocate, and has a PhD in human sexuality. How you doing, Jill? Thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate it very much.
Hi, Alan. Thanks for having me.
Now, you had a very, I would guess, controversial appearance at Yale University, right, given the subject matter?
Well, it was not controversial until after it got picked up by a blogger who was not present.
Really? Well, I probably a conservative blogger, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Where you found out. Now, tell me how this worked, because you had people anonymously texting you, right, while you were speaking, and gave some very intimate information about their personal lives.
Yeah, this is a program that I've run multiple times. It's one of my more popular programs. I've run it at Rutgers University, at College of New Jersey. I've done it multiple places. And it's a very popular program because it looks at the things that aren't talked about because it is anonymous. So what I do is I pose questions, and the students text in their responses on their cell phones. The numbers become encrypted, and the answers show up on the screen in the front of the classroom, showing the breakdown of responses. And then the students have an opportunity to pose their own questions, also anonymously, and then answer them.
Now, you found out, for example, that 22% had never had a sexual partner, which I'm surprised it's that high, actually.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea, is that the premise of work is you can't make assumptions. You look at a person's demographic. Okay, maybe she's a white female. She's 20 years old. She goes to an Ivy League university. She must be X, Y, Z. And you have no clue. And so that's why I ask these questions. It illuminates how you really can't judge and make assumptions about people's sexuality.
How does that break down male and female? Do you know that?
So for this particular class, there was only 36 people in the room. Not every person answered every question for whatever reason. They might have skipped certain questions. So for the gender question, 29% of people in that room answered it. 6 were male, 22 identified as being female, and 1 identified as being female to male transgender.
So you had a transgender in the room?
Yeah, like I said, the whole point is that it's all walks of life, and when you sit in a classroom, you think everybody's just like you, and it's just not the case.
Now, 12% filmed themselves during intercourse, which I found interesting. 52% said they engaged in consensual pain.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you?
No. Especially after 50 Shades of Grey came out.
It does not surprise you.
It takes a lot to surprise me.
What about 3% who said they'd engage in bestiality? Did that surprise you?
No. 3% in the classroom, that question, only 33 people in the room responded. 1 person. 3% is 1 person. No, that's one person. But even if you were to say, I'm putting 33 or 30 people in a room, what are the chances that one of them had engaged in bestiality? I mean, I don't know national statistics or studies. I only know the self-report of these programs that I do. I've done the program where it has been 0%. I've done the program at colleges in which there has been one person. So it's not the first time. Yale's not the first time that I've had someone admit to this anonymously in this program.
Now, you also got to wonder if they're telling you the truth, right?
That always, that begs to...
Now, the intent of the workshop, you say, is to increase understanding for those who indulge in fringe sexual practices. The question is, what determines what a fringe sexual practice is?
Well, that's not my quote. See, and this is where this whole...
That was actually in the New York Daily News, but okay.
Controversy is getting very whispered down the lane, because I definitely did not say that. The point of the workshop is threefold. First, it looks at the difference between normal and normative.
Right.
Because something is quote-unquote normative doesn't mean it's normal, not normative. Examples I use and questions that are in the program is, what is your sexual orientation? And it's always a minority of people who identify as gay or same-sex oriented, but I would say that is normal, that is healthy. Likewise, it's usually a majority or a large portion of students who say that they've been raped or sexually assaulted. That's normative. I would not call that healthy or normal. So it's not just looking at the numbers. The second point is to talk about the assumptions, and that you can't make assumptions, as we already addressed.
Yeah.
And the third part is about teaching tolerance, and that, everybody has varieties in their life and experiences they've had and behaviors they've had and identities. And when you start adding judgment, not only is it kind of a pay-it-forward thing, because then judgment comes back at you for whatever your sexual insecurity might be, but that leads to stigmatization and bullying and all kinds of awful things. So it's about compassion as well.
So nothing shocks you, though, and when you have these workshops and you talk to people about their practices, there is nothing that's shocking that you can hear at this point.
No, I mean, if human beings can figure out how to do something sexually, there's been one person on the planet who's done it.
Right.
So it's not about my personal opinion. It's about just what are people doing and having an intellectual conversation about that.
Right. Do you ever get, by the way, you're getting married tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Do you really think you should be talking to me the eve of your wedding? I mean, really? Is that what you should be?
Well, I just wanted to talk about it with you because I've gotten, at this point, it's becoming libel with some of the retweeting and the reblogging and the rewriting the article. Some really horrific things have been said about me. One was somebody wishing that saying that I deserve to be taken into the public square and stoned to death.
Oh, my God,
so
really?
Yeah, so I just wanted to come in and talk about, accusations that I'm somehow immoral for facilitating a comprehensive sex education program with adults, and these accusations are being flung by people who are saying I should be tortured and murdered. So I just wanted to come.
Those are very sick people. It's like you're the sick one, you're the deviant, whatever the word deviant means, and yet they're saying you should be tortured and murdered?
Right, yeah.
And you're the crazy person. You're the fringe person.
Yeah.
What is the word? Let's go to that word deviant. Does that has a negative connotation, right?
It does. I don't use the word deviant. I think the connotation it has is right that you're off, you're immoral, has a kind of a morality complex. But I think I don't know the etymology of the word, but it sounds like deviation, which is a statistical term, meaning not the norm. So it goes back to my original premise of the workshop being what is normal versus what is normative and how they don't always align.
Right. So normative would be on a curve, right? What is normative? What's within? And normal, who's to say what normal is?
And that's the intellectual discussion that I try and have at these.
I mean, because you got people calling me every night saying, well, if you're gay, it's not normal, it's deviant, it's sick, because people are still hung up about that. People think sex in and of itself is not normal or not proper unless it's done under certain circumstances.
Yeah, who gets to call those circumstances, and who gets to make those rules?
And do we want the government to do it? Do we want moralists to do it? Do we want the churches or synagogues to tell us what to do? That's really the big question, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Who gets to make these rules, and who gets to come up with? Yeah.
Well, we have to run, but listen, what is your website? Because I want people to find out more about you.
It's thesexologist.org.
Say it again.
Thesexologist.org.
Thesexologist.org. Congratulations on your impending marriage.
Thank
and
you
I hope we
much.
can talk again for a longer period of time.
I'd love to. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.